And we should be live. Welcome everyone. Hi Roberta. And welcome again Natalie, Tish, Ronnie, Caroline, everyone. So we've got about 12 minutes before to start. We're just waiting for everyone to connect. So if you happen to be watching this on replay in the next few days, if you want to skip the hellos and go straight to the tour, you can skip the next 10 minutes. And hello Nikki. Bonjour Nathalie. Let us know in the chat where you're tuning from. And Julie is here. Welcome, Julie. Lovely evening. Yeah, it is a bit windy today, but it's fine. It's not too cold. So we've got, let me check, 11 minutes exactly before to officially get started. And welcome Karen, nice to see you here. Hi Mary. And Sandrine is here, welcome. And Linda is here, nice to see you Linda. So we've got about 10 minutes to go. Yeah, it's been a while Natalie, where have you been? And Bonita is here. Welcome, Bonita. And Laurie. Welcome, Laurie. So as you can probably guess already, I am on Regent Street. Let me show you. Regent Street, that is also on the Monopoly board, but we won't stay on Regent Street. We'll take a left down here, because eventually we'll go into Marlborough Street. Let me focus. Are you gonna focus? Focus. Yeah. Salut Mike. So as you might know, Marlborough Street doesn't actually exist. Well, it does. There's a little Marlborough Street in Chelsea, but we're actually going to Great Marlborough Street. I'm good, Natalie. I'm good. Southern Ontario. What's the temperature? 18 for you. That's nice. It is. I don't know actually. It suddenly got a bit colder. It was quite warm this afternoon, but I'd say it's no more than 10 Celsius now. So yeah, Regent Street at night is always beautiful. So if anyone was completely new to me, if you don't know what's happening tonight, we'll have a little walk in Soho and we're heading towards Great Marlborough Street, where we'll look at property prices in the area. Oh, Natalie's here as well. Well, it's a Nat Fest, yes. You've never been to Marlborough Street? Well, you'll see it's not a very long street. That's why we'll have a little walk in the back streets of Soho first. And also because I want to tell you about a few murders and a couple of tragic stories that might not be called murders, but still horrible. Let me see how many minutes. 7 minutes to go. It is a bit noisy here on Regent Street, but it's going to be much quieter as we go down the back streets. And welcome Diane, nice to see you here. And Janie is here as well. Welcome Janie. So we've got about 6 minutes to go. It is fairly quiet tonight because it's Sunday night, almost 9:30 p.m. If you were here last night at the same time on a Saturday, it would have been much busier. Paris was in the 80s. I don't know how much that would be in Celsius. It's not been really warm, no. It's been sunny today, so we were lucky, but it was windy, so it didn't really reach very high temperatures. Well, I was indoor most of the day anyway, working on this tour, but yeah, it was very windy. And Tariq is here. Welcome, Tariq. So we have, let me check, 6 minutes to go. So we still have 6 minutes to get to know each other. So if anyone was completely new to me, let us know in the chat. It's always nice to see a few newbies. Oh, that'll be 27. Oh, we definitely didn't reach that much here. No, I don't think we've been over 20 so far this year. We had a couple of very nice days, but that didn't last long. Five minutes. Nice. And we are on Regent Street. So that's a famous shopping street. No one would be shopping right now because it is Sunday, so the shops are open on a Sunday here, but they'll be closing a bit earlier, like Hamley is probably 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., 7 max, but never any later on a Sunday. When on a weekday it could be easily 8 or 9. Four minutes to go. Let me flip this camera around in case you get bored of my face. You're so excited. Well, it's nice to have you back, Karen. And Michelle is here. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome back to London. So we've got a few iconic buses here. You won't see them anymore as soon as we go into the back streets, because in Soho itself, it's a bit like a village, you know, with those tiny little streets. Some of them are even pedestrianized, and no buses inside of those little streets. You have your projector. Oh, you're probably watching me on the big screen then. Oh, you've been into in-person tours, Tariq. Amazing. Oh, and Lethargy is here. Welcome, Lethargy. Hold on, I might have to mute you for a sec. Apologies. Where is it? Oh, I cannot find the mute button because. Where is the mute button anyway? Oh well, too late. I think the mute button has moved because, you know, when they play music in the background, it can be quite bad on YouTube because you can get some copyright issues. That's the thing with those bicycles. They play very loud music. It's fine. I've lost the mute button anyway. Pretty sure it used to be here. Oh well. Hi John, nice to have you back. Oh, we've got a few people coming back. It's nice to see you again, guys. So we've got, let me start, 2 minutes to go. And Linda is here. Welcome, Linda. Perfect timing. We are about to get started. And Suzanne. Welcome, Suzanne. Okay, let me see. It might be time to go. 1 minute to go. Oh, you've got your chocolates ready. Nice. Save me some. Okay, let's see. That's the thing with Prism Live. I don't see the time, so I have to touch the screen every time. And welcome, Emma. Nice to have you here. Let's see. And it is officially time to go. So welcome, guys. Welcome to Soho. We are on Regent Street at the moment, which is also on the Monopoly board. So we'll be back here eventually at some point. And welcome, Eileen. So I won't tell you too much tonight about Regent Street. We're heading into the back streets of Soho. So if anyone was completely new to me and you don't know what's happening tonight, so with those Monopoly tours, I basically throw the dice on the board at home, and we ended up on Marlborough Street, which is not actually Marlborough Street, it's Great Marlborough Street. It's a little mistake on the board. So that's where we're heading to. But first, we'll have a little walk into the back streets here, because there are a few tragic tales I want to tell you about. And eventually, once we get a bit closer to Great Marlborough Street, we'll start looking at property prices. Right, and if anyone was completely new to me, I'm Natalie. You're very welcome. And let's go. Let's flip this around. So this is the beautiful Regent Street, named after the Prince Regent. But let's go down into the back streets. So we'll head into Brewer Street here. Brewer Street, it's a street that is famed for prostitution, it's fair to say, still today to an extent. But there's a famous there's a famous person, let's say, that used to live here, and that is Chevalier d'Éon. Now, Chevalier d'Éon, I'm gonna call him Chevalier d'Éon because his actual name is rather long. He was born Charles Geneviève Louis Auguste André Timothée d'Éon de Beaumont. So we'll call him Chevalier d'Éon. He was, as you can probably tell from his name, born in France, in Burgundy, as a young boy. At the time, there was absolutely no doubt about that. He got educated in Paris. Lethargy, I think they wouldn't change it because they don't care. The names on the London Monopoly board are very random. They were decided very quickly in one day. The two representatives of the company came down in one day. They chose the names, and was it a mistake, or did they think it was a bit too long as a name? I don't know, but they decided to keep it. Yeah. So let's get back to our Chevalier d'Éon. He was educated in Paris, and he met a chap called Le Prince de Conti. I'll say it in French because in English that'll be the Prince of Conti. It sounds a bit dirty, really. So the Prince of Conti was actually the cousin of the King, Louis XV, and he invited d'Éon to a masquerade. You know, one of those lavish parties where you'll dress up. You'd have to know that at the time. So we are in the 18th century, really. The men at the time, you know, they didn't necessarily look very masculine. You know, they had those little tights and those shoes with heels and those wigs and long hair and having those cross-dressing parties at court. That was not actually rare. And D'Éon dressed allegedly. We don't have any evidence of that, but apparently D'Éon dressed as a female. And and he met the king, Louis XV, and they were flirting, would you believe? And eventually the king tried to kiss him, and he was like, "Oh, well done, I'm not who you think you are." And the king was very impressed with Deon, and he then offered him a job, a secret job. It was a new group that was known as Les Secrets du Roi. So he basically offered him to be a spy. His first position was actually to go to the court in Russia to try to convince the Russian Empress to sign a treaty. Louis XV wanted some treaties for military protection, basically, in Europe. And he also wanted to put the Prince of Conti on the throne of Poland, but that's a different story. So Deon actually went on as a spy in Russia. Even in Russia, he already had a few opportunities to dress up as a lady. He was already quite good at it. And he managed. So he managed to get the Empress to sign a treaty with France. He got back to France, and that's when the war started, the 7-year war that involved most countries in Europe. So he joined the army as a soldier. He was very good with swords and all that. And after the war, so France won, and it was going to be time to sign peace treaties, with Britain. Of course, Louis XV was very bitter, and he decided to send Deon to London. So this time, Deon's job was to, basically spy on the clauses that they were going to put on the peace treaty. His job was basically he copied a lot of documents, and it's basically thanks to Deon that that France kept Martinique and Guadeloupe, the sugar colonies. We lost parts of America, but so that's basically thanks to Deon's job. And when he was here in Soho, he was particularly popular. He used a lot of money, and so he would have lived pretty much just here where the white building stands today. So he threw those lavish parties. He was quite close to everyone, even to the king, George III, and he spent a lot of money. And after that, his job was also to, let's say that the King of France was so bitter to have lost. He wanted to plan an invasion of Britain. So he asked Deon to go down to the south to draw the coastline, to look at the tide, when they're in, when they're out, to know when the French could invade. So this was very, very sensitive information and very sensitive work, because if the king here found out, that would have been an excuse for war, And eventually the King of France told Deon, "This is too much, you're spending way too much money." He basically sacked him. And Deon went like, "You can't do that to me. I mean, I've got so much sensitive information." So would you believe he actually literally blackmailed the King of France? He said to him, "You're leaving me here in London with my job and my money, otherwise I'll publish all those letters," like basically incriminating the King of France for wanting to invade Britain. So that worked for a little while, and it's at that point in the 1770s that the rumor here started that the Chevalier was actually a Chevalier. Everyone in London was starting to say that Deon was a female. Let me show you a portrait of him at the time. And people started taking bet here. In every pub, people would be betting on whether Deon had a vagina or not. And the King of France heard about it, and they felt like they were a bit duped, really. So the King of France sent a gentleman called Drouet to come and check basically Deon's genitalia. Would you believe Drouet came back saying, "Yeah, he's a female." My understanding is that it was not a visual examination. It's like Drouet met Déon, and Déon grabbed Drouet's hand, and he was like, yeah, touch it. Drouet was probably very embarrassed, and he probably didn't touch it for too long. We don't really know how Déon managed, but there's a way when you have bits to pull them back. And Ronnie, he doesn't look female on that portrait, but some of them are a bit more androgynous, really. After that, so Déon kind of lost his power over the French king because, the king died. So there was no more blackmailing anymore. And eventually, because he was a female, the French government gave him the opportunity to come back, but under their term. So he could come back to France, he would still get a bit of money, but he had to leave as a female, because he was a female, apparently. So Déon did come back to France, but he had to, dressing up as a female at the time was really annoying. You had to have those corsets and those big dresses with those big wooden rings inside to make you look like you've got a big bum. And he actually hated it. He started to dress back in his military uniform that he used to wear. And eventually, his landlady from his apartment here on Brewer Street, she contacted him saying, you've not paid the rent for a little while, I'm going to have to sell your library. So Déon ran straight back to London because he of course loved his library very much. And he moved back here, living as a female for the rest of his life. He was out of money though, because he didn't have any money from the French government anymore. He was not a spy. So he became a bit of a freak show, to be honest. He was so good with swords that he would do some duels, some fencing. And he was extremely good, but dressed as a female. So it was a bit like a show. And people would bet again on every duels. And he started to be caricatured in all, in the 18th century, they did a lot of caricatures everywhere. And because he was a bit skint, to be honest, he had to take a flatmate. So he moved on, apologies, I still call him a he, because, nowadays it's all about pronouns, but I don't know whether he would have wanted to be a they or a she. So I'm gonna stick to he. So yeah, he's getting very famous actually. He's doing those shows and he's very good with his sword. And but he is treated as a female. Even the British government had to agree that he was a female because people were taking bets everywhere. So eventually they had to have an answer because there was so much money involved in those bets. And eventually he got injured with a sword, and in his early 80s, he or she passed away. As I mentioned, he had a flatmate, a widow called Mrs. Cole, and Mrs. Cole was convinced she was living with another lady. And when he passed, she had to do his mortuary toilet, so she washed her friend's body. Well, she had a bit of a surprise. She nearly had an attack, She ran on the streets. She went to look for a doctor. So the body of Déon was examined by a few doctors. They even did a sketch of his genitalia. I'm not going to show you the sketch because I don't think you need to see a sketch of a dead penis. But if you wanted to see it, you can Google it. If you go on Google and you put Chevalier Déon's genitalia sketch, you can see it, and it's very much a penis. There's no doubt about that. It's not like anything in between. So yeah, very interesting story. He was buried here. He was buried in St. Pancras churchyard. We've been there together. I never showed you his grave because he doesn't have any. Because you might know when they did the Midland Railway, they moved a lot of the graves. He is on the monument though. Angela Burdett Coates, she did a monument for all the people that were moved. So his name, as Chevalier, not Chevalier, is on Angela Burdett Coates' monument in St. Pancras. So fascinating character. And his portrait is at the National Gallery, I believe. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Surprised. Anyway, now on the first floor here, just on top of Nico di Dona, there was a tragedy that happened here in 1887. There was a French lady living here. We'll have quite a few French characters tonight. Her name was officially Amelia Pottel, but she had probably Anglican, how do you say it? Anglicized it. She probably changed it to sound more British. She probably was Amélie Potin or Amélie, maybe even Amélie Poulain, who knows. She was a sex worker. She had a bit of a limp. We don't know why, if she got injured, or if she had a sickness or anything. And so she would be soliciting in this area. Tragic life, really, because she struggled to eat, and she was just working all day. So not a very enjoyable life. And she met a gentleman. She met a German guy actually called Frank. And Frank he was a drunk. He was an alcoholic. He was semi-homeless. And they moved in together in the little what was his name? You mean the Chevalier d'Éon? Yeah, I thought you meant his name was Frank Schlutz, but yeah, Chevalier d'Éon earlier. So they moved in together, and clearly he was not bringing any money into the household. He literally lived on the proceeds of her sex work. And he was a very violent man. Everyone knew, all the neighbors knew. See the little flat I've shown you, it's literally just one little flat. The rest of the building would have been different lodgers. And sadly, he was very violent with Amelia. And it was sad, it was actually double sad, because she was all bruised and all broken, she would get less work, because luckily, most people don't find the bruises very attractive. And then he would beat her up more because she's not bringing any money in. She had a regular customer, though, that would come and see her every Sunday. And he would always bring her a little gift, like an apple or fruit. And she was giving him discounts. We don't know why. Is it because she liked him very much, or because he was in money trouble? We don't really know. But one Sunday, Frank came home and he could clearly hear that his girlfriend was busy making money inside. And when that was over, he came back in, and he was furious to see how little she had charged him. So he was well aware of her work as a prostitute. He encouraged it, but he was furious because she charged the regular too little, and he started beating her up. All the neighbors could hear that there was a massive argument. One of the neighbors actually came down to help. It seems to quiet down, and a few hours later, about 1:30 a.m., suddenly. So in their little flat at the time, I think it's 1887, you'd still have some oil lamps, Suddenly they heard screaming, and they saw a big light in the back garden. Amelia used to run into the back garden when she wanted to feel safe, because of course he would start beating her up when she was visible through the windows. And she was on fire. Her full body was on fire. She had been set on fire with the oil lamp. She was still alive. She was screaming, "Bring me to hospital. I'll say it's an accident. I'll say it's me. I swear, bring me to hospital. I'll say it's me." He didn't. He kept filling buckets of water to extinguish the fire on her. And eventually there's a police constable that heard it from the street. So eventually she was taken to hospital, when sadly she passed the next day from her burning. Now, it should be a straight case here. You'd think it's a very straight case of manslaughter, at least, if not murder. the piece of crap, he actually tried to bribe some people so they would change their version of the story. Well, are we talking about Déon? Yeah, Déon was probably asexual. We don't know of any adventure that he had with any member of the opposite sex or any member of the same sex. There were some royal gossips, though. There were, royal conspiracies are not new. One was mad. One royal conspiracy stated that Déon might have had sex with Queen Charlotte, and that some of the 15 kids from George III might have actually been Déon's sons or daughters, and that's why he had to pretend to be a lady to pretend that he couldn't actually possibly got the queen pregnant. That's certainly all rubbish, but it's to show you how royal conspiracies, like we've seen in the last few months, they're nothing new. Anyway, to go back to poor Amelia Pottle, her boyfriend was of course arrested, and would you believe he was actually acquitted? Why? Because Amelia had actually made a statement before to die. She said it was her fault. She said it was an accident, that it had nothing to do with Frank. And that horrible man, he was freed. He grabbed all Amelia's stuff and he sold them to go and buy more drinks. So yeah, horrible, horrible case. Oh, there's a Netflix version. I've not seen it, Laurie. I need to check it out. Is it a movie or a documentary? All right, quick stop here because we also have a horrible murder that happened here, a very mysterious one. So right here we are on Lexington Street, just above the Jimmy Fairley shop here. This is the case of Jeanne-Marie Coton, another French lady. Jeanne-Marie was in her 40s. She was a cleaner, so she was not in the sex trade at all. She was a landlady, so she had a few lodgers, a gay man called James, and a lady called Dorothy. That was her. She was in the sex trade. We don't think Jeanne-Marie was actually aware of the way Dorothy was making her money, and so Jeanne-Marie she had been widowed once, so she actually had a British passport and everything because she was married to a British guy before. And she met Carlo, an Italian, a cook from the local area, and she moved in with Carlo here, with their lodgers, and also with Carlo's son, Remo. Remo, he actually called her auntie. She was not his auntie. She was, his stepmom, basically. And one day, Remo is coming home on a late afternoon, about 7 p.m. I think it was, and he went upstairs to actually go to his auntie's apartment. You'd have to cross the kitchen, the door was locked. He opened the door. He had the key, of course, and he was calling auntie, auntie, no reply. And he eventually ended up going into her bedroom when he found his auntie on the floor, face down. He didn't click straight away that she had been killed because she was suffering from depression, so she thought maybe she had some kind of an episode. So he's like, auntie, auntie, and he realized that she had been strangled with her own stocking. Now, to this day, we still don't know who might have done it. The flatmate or the lodger, Dorothy, she was actually busy with a customer inside at that point. Could it be that customer? When he left, we don't know. She was scared of one of her customers, apparently, Mr. Cohen, but we don't know. Some journalists at the time have dubbed it the Soho Strangler because 5 months earlier there was another French lady in her 40s as well, a little brunette as well, known as Fifi, that was also strangled. But at the time they believed it might have been suicide. So, and there were another 2 ladies after that. So they could have been a serial killer at the time. That was in 1936, to give you an idea. Now, I think we have to be careful with serial killers. I think sometimes we tend to, because we don't want to believe that too many people are evil, when we have murders, we tend to try to put them on the back of the one single killer. Sometimes it's not. So who knows? Anyway, this is the John Snow pub. We've spoken about that pub before, of course. John Snow was the father of epidemiology, and he was also working on anesthetics for giving birth or for the dentist. That's interesting because we'll talk about a dentist in a moment. But for now, let me show you another murder site. So just across the street here, above the tapas restaurant, on the second floor where you have the lights, that's where another sex worker used to live right after the Second World War. Her name was Ginger Ray. Well, she was known as Ginger Ray. She was actually called Rachel Ann. She was no doubt in the sex trade. She should I cross over? Yeah. She had been working as a prostitute here for about 20 years. She had at least 80 convictions for soliciting, but she had no issues with anyone. She was not in trouble with money. She had no debts or anything. She was not an alcoholic, although she would go for drinks with friends. She had a lot of friends. She actually had 3 boyfriends, and she lived a quiet life. You know, no one hated her as far as we know. And one night, she was gonna go to work. She had a good day. She had been to Dalston to have lunch with one of her lovers. Then she met her sister in Dalston. And is there a single neighborhood in London with no murders? Linda is asking. Well, I guess there are, but I'm not taking you there. And so yeah, she went to buy a chicken because she had a friend coming for lunch the next day, and she went and she started working. So people witnessed her taking some gentleman home and back and forth. Then she was meant to be meeting friends in the pub at 10:30. She didn't turn up, so they got a bit worried. After they had a drink at the pub anyway without her, and then they came here to check on her. They could see the gas lamp that was on in her flat on the second floor. She would usually do that when she was still working outside, so they believed she was either busy with a customer inside or still working, so they didn't bother her. And I'm a bit confused here by your comment, Laurie, but I'll read it later. They got a bit worried, but that was it. They left. The next morning, though, they came back to check on her, and the gas lamp was still on in the morning when there's no need. They could see it through the window. So they got really worried, the both of them. Then one of the neighbors came down as well. He didn't have the key, but he was also worried. And eventually the friend that was meant to come for lunch also arrived. And all together they decided to break the door. They decided something was wrong. They got into the flat. She had been brutally attacked. She had been stabbed 6 times. And again, big mystery. So that's 1948, right after the Second World War. To this day, it's still a mystery. There were a couple of sex workers that died in the same period again. So the press at the time have dubbed the killer Soho Jack, because again, they believe they might have been a serial killer. Not the same one as 20 years earlier, or not even, maybe 18 years earlier, but yeah. And to this day, it's still a mystery. There were some other sex workers that had seen her talking to a gentleman on Brewer Street. They have a very precise description of that gentleman, 6 feet tall, Roman nose, whatever that means, and bad teeth, terrible teeth, like they looked like broken and not washed. but that was not really rare at the time, and that man was never located. So we'll never know who killed Ginger Ray. It's still one of the big Soho mysteries. Now, let me flip this camera around. On this spot here, where the Chinese restaurant is today, we used to have a dentist here. Now, dentistry today, I think we don't realize today when we go to the dentist how lucky we are that, you know, in many countries, part of it is covered from the health system, at least if it's a bad one, and you have all those painkillers that don't cost you too much, at least. But for many centuries, dentistry was an absolute nightmare. We talked about those dentists in some of my tours. You know, they used to be hairdressers. You'd go to the hairdresser to get your teeth pulled out. Not the dentist, says Jenny. I don't mind the dentist, it's fine. Well, I think, you know, it maybe used to be a bit painful back in the day, but nowadays it's fine. We're lucky. It's like a walk in the park now. So anyway, would you believe until 1879, until the Dentistry Act, anyone could be a dentist? We already had a licensing from the Royal College of Surgeons a few years earlier, but you didn't have to. In 1908, there's a lady that lived locally, Jane. She was 41 years old and she lived in a small accommodation here with her partner and their daughter Anna. She was not a woman of big money and she had a massive toothache. And you know, she had never been to a dentist, but eventually it was getting so bad. Because they slept in one bedroom. Her husband couldn't sleep and the daughter couldn't sleep because Jane was so much in pain that she was making noises all night. And eventually Nathan decided, so the husband decided to take Jane to the dentist. Now, Jane was a lady of what they would have called at the time large proportions. She came to the dentist with her husband and her daughter Anna. She was very big. That's something that will have to be taken into consideration. So she came it was a dentist as well as a chemist. So they came into the chemistry with Dr. Isidore Zifford. He allegedly had studied dentistry in Vilnius, which is today Lithuania. At the time it was of course part of Russia. And he had set up his practice here. He was actually not qualified or anything. At the time, you had to be registered already in 1908. He probably slept through the net, so he was practicing with no diploma whatsoever. And so she came to the dentist with her husband, and she was so much in pain that her husband decided to pay for painkillers. Mitzi, not so much anymore. The dentists were the barbers in early Victorian times, but no longer in the 1880s. In the 1880s, they were more. From the 1880s, they were more special practitioner. So in 1908, all of them should be registered as a dentist rather than a barber. But earlier, yes, absolutely. You'd go to the barber to get your teeth extracted. And she was such in pain and she had 2 teeth to be taken out. So Nathan was like, okay, we'll pay for painkillers. That was a lot of money for them. They were really not a rich family at all. And the dentist, Isidore, was out of gas. So he was like, okay, we'll go for cocaine. Because yes, at the time, you'd take cocaine as a painkiller. Let me show you a commercial. It's not from here; it's from the US. But yeah, that was used as a toothache painkiller. So the the poor lady is on the chair. The doctor prepares the concoction. He puts 90 milligrams of cocaine into a syringe. He injects it in her gums. She probably had a bit of a smile at that moment because finally, for the first time in days, she was no longer in pain. And her husband Nathan is like, "Are you sure?" He's very concerned, of course. And the doctor is like, yeah, I've done this before, don't worry. As soon as the teeth are out, she'll be fine. Yeah, cocaine, Natalie. Yeah, that's... even Queen Victoria, she used to take a bit of cocaine when she was on her periods, would you believe? And we've stopped doing that because we did have a few overdoses. And that's exactly what happened. So basically... that's a lot. I don't know if you guys take any cocaine, but 90 milligrams, it's a lot. And she started to sweat like crazy, and she had lost it. She was her mind was a bit gone, and the dentist is like, yeah, don't worry, it's fine. He removed one of the teeth, and her husband started to get massively worried, and the dentist is like, no, it's fine. And eventually her body started convulsing. All her muscles were getting contracted. So the little Anne, she ran into the street. She had no trust in the dentist whatsoever. So she ran into the streets to call for a doctor. Sadly, Jane had died. It's very dangerous. I mean, especially people that are overweight or that might have some heart problems already. Cocaine can be very dangerous because it makes your heart go crazy. And so would you believe the dentist Isidore was arrested? He was tried at the Old Bailey. So again, it seems to be like a clear case of manslaughter. Would you believe? No. The conclusion was that he had been guilty of negligence. So they basically let him go, saying, okay, be a bit more careful with cocaine next time. That was it. And he kept practicing. It seems crazy to us because the thing is, he should have not only gave her double the amount, but he should have checked her heart, because you cannot give, cocaine to someone that may have heart problems. Anyway, time to start looking at apartments. So I have a flat for you up there. And let me check if it's, I think it's 1 bedroom. No, 2 bedrooms. So how much would you pay? So this one is to buy. How much would you pay for 2 bedrooms up there? And I'll show you a photo in the chat. Ah, wait, there. So how much would you pay for that lovely apartment up there? 2 bedrooms to buy, 2 bedrooms. So we're looking for a price to buy. So it's up there on the top part of the building. 50 milligrams next time, yes. So we're looking for a price. Ooh, Pauline, you're very close. Laurie says 2.3 millions. Pauline says 2.5. Tariq, you're good at this as well. Tariq says 2.5. Tish, you're a bit too high as well. Caroline, you're not too far either. 3K, no. 2.5 million, says Sarah. Well, I'll show you the answer. I think, Pauline, you were the first and you were the closest. 1.4 millions. So, not too bad for this area, because we're just off Carnaby Street. Let me remove the photos. Oops. Okay. So some of you might recognize this area. We are on Broadwick Street. We've been here in my tour about plague and cholera. But it's basically here that a massive epidemic of cholera started in 1854, and that John Snow realized that the disease was actually coming from the water. He struggled to prove it though, and although he did, the board of sanitary board didn't believe him. This is Shaida walking. It's a piece of art from an artist called Julian Opie. And up there we have the beautiful mural, The Spirits of Soho. but I won't say too much about this today because we've been here before. Now, what I never told you is that across the street here on Carnaby Street, we also had a murder. Margaret Cook. At the time in, I think it's 1946, this one, so right after the Second World War, there used to be a club here called the Blue Lagoon. And at the Blue Lagoon, they would have strippers and everything. And Margaret was one of them. She was 26 years old. She worked as a stripper here as well as an escort and most probably a sex worker as well. When she was, somebody spotted a couple arguing in the little alleyway next to the club. Apparently someone tried to stop it, but the man said bugger off, and he had a gun. Now, people don't really carry guns in Britain anymore, but we are right after the Second World War. There were a lot of guns around. What happened is that, well, first they were not quite illegal yet, and also through the war, some soldiers had brought back their guns as a souvenir, and also the British public applied for American generosity through the war. They were worried that the Nazis might invade, so they asked some of the Americans to gift their guns to them. So there were quite a few people still owning guns right after the war. And that was it. Margaret was shot dead. The man ran away. We didn't know. He was never caught. And in 2015, in a nursing home in Ontario, Canada, there's a gentleman, 91 years old, that is sadly dying, liver cancer, that asked to see the police, Canadian police and British police, and he confessed that he had killed a lady here. He didn't remember her name, so the British police officers had to bring 12 portraits, and he stopped on Margaret Cook. So he confessed having murdered her. That's all we know because it's fairly recently, so the files have not been released yet. It's still very much under investigation. But yes, 70 years later, on his deathbed, he confessed. Maybe, we don't know whether that is true. You know, it could just be an old man being confused. We don't know. We probably won't know for many, many years. Look at those beautiful lights. Anyway, I've got more flats for you here. And it's very busy here. I've got a couple of flats for you up there. I don't know why it's so busy. I am indeed. Yeah. What are you guys doing here? You're queuing for something?
Yeah, what?
Huh?
What?
55 at the moment. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. Right, so we've got a couple of flats up there. Let me check so I don't say anything wrong. We've got 1 2-bedroom for rent. Let me show you the photos. So bear in mind the beautiful garden seems to be a communal one, because I've seen the same photo for the second flat. So how much would you pay monthly for a 2-bedroom flat up there? We're looking for a monthly rent, and it is 2 bedrooms. Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you. Yeah, it is very busy. So 2 bedrooms here, monthly rent. Tariq says 1.8k. Pauline says 2,500. 3. Who said 3? That's Caroline says 3. Mike says 9k. Well, Mike, I think you're the closest so far. Ronnie says 3k. Natalie says 3.6. 4,000. Janie, I think you are the closest now. Let me show you the answer. 6.5k. I mean, you've got a beautiful view, you're right off Carnaby Street, it's all nice and modern, with a roof terrace and an actual balcony, so you know. Now, let me show you the other one. There's another one in the same building. I'll remove those images. Let me show you. So, this one doesn't want to go, hold on, bear with me. Right, so we've got another one bedroom this time for rent as well. So how much would you pay for this lovely one bedroom for rent? So same building. So we're looking for a monthly rent for a one bedroom. Sharing the same garden, so the beautiful garden we saw earlier, they'll be sharing the same one. In Athens, you've got a flat for 500. Yeah, lucky you. So 2K says Tariq, Pauline says 3, Ronnie says 3, Laurie, I think you're the closest one so far. Yeah. John says 4.5, Michelle says 4.5 as well. Well, let me show you the answer. I think, Laurie, you've got it. So 3,575. So that's nice. I mean, that's the prices here, but yeah. Look at those beautiful lights and everything. So we'll go into the next street to see more flats. It's of course a lovely area to live in, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'd love to live here because it's probably a bit too busy. You know, at daytime it's like it's so busy with tourists everywhere. It's probably a little annoying. I have no idea what those young boys were doing there. They had all the picnic tables and everything, like if they were waiting for something, like queuing for a shop opening or something tomorrow morning. But hey ho. Too much, yeah. It is a bit much because they probably don't have any garage, and bear in mind it's a lovely location to live in. Let's say if you wanted to go to, you know, if you like to go out at night, go to the theater, go to have some drinks and everything. But really, if you want to do your groceries, you don't have any big shops here. You want to pop to the little Tesco, you have to queue forever because it's just very busy. So. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a great deal to live here, to be honest. Anyway, we have another flat. Let me see if I can pop the camera in here, because it's behind this gate here. So down here, I have another flat for you. It is to buy, and it is a 3 bedrooms to buy. Let me show you the photos. Where were we? That's the one. So how much would you pay? So it's in the little courtyard there for a 3 bedrooms to buy. We're looking for a price to buy. Beautiful 3 bedrooms in the little private courtyard, so you don't have anyone by your windows or anything. So 3 bedrooms to buy. How much would you spend? Well, even if you don't want to spend it, how much do you think it's worth? To be honest, it's it's a huge space. Look at the living room. But how much would you say? 5 million says Tariq, 8 million says Caroline, 4 million says Pauline. Michelle, you're quite close as well. Michelle and Pauline, you are the closest so far. Ronelyn says 10 millions. Mike, you're not too far either. Oh, Sarah, it's a little bit less. John says 5 millions. Tish says 6. Well, let me show you the answer. There we go. So, nearly 4 millions. not surprising, but I now have a very cheap one for you. Let me show you this one here. So in this very building here, I have a flat that is particularly cheap. Now, I don't know, in Westminster you have a leasehold. So I don't know if it's because the lease is not that long, so you don't really buy the ground forever. Some might argue that you don't really buy at all. But anyway, so we have a bargain here. It is a 2-bedroom flat to buy in this beautiful building. How much would you spend for a 2-bedroom flat in here? I'll show you the photos. Where are we? There we go. So 2-bedroom flat in here. I might start walking back while you guess. So 2 bedrooms to buy. And trust me, it is a bargain. I don't think I've ever seen any flats that cheap in this area. Caroline says 1.8 millions. $100,000, says Natalie. Not that much of a bargain. 2.5 million, says Tarek. 2.8, says Pauline. Tish, you're the closest so far. Tish says 900,000. John says 2.5k. No, not that cheap. Laurie, you're not too far either. Mike, I think you got it. I think it's quite spot on. Let me show you the answer. Ta-doo! It is indeed 700,000. So that's a good deal. Anyway, let me get rid of those images and let's go back towards Carnaby Street. So Carnaby Street, it's always beautiful. Always, it's known, of course, for rock and roll and all that. But nowadays, it's always full of amazing decorations, and if you want to see the Christmas decorations, you want to come on Carnaby Street. But again, not the quietest place to live, because at daytime it's just busy, very busy. This is the Shakespeare's Head pub. You might be able to spot Shakespeare's Head looking out of the window. And I have a flat for you on Carnaby Street. Let me flip this camera around because it is behind me. What's wrong with that price? It's just a bit cheap, Linda. It's, well, compared to the millions we've seen next door. But maybe it's haunted. You're right, Sandrine. That's probably why. Anyway, we've got a flat here just above the shop here. They have a plaque. I think that was one of the first pret-a-porter ladies' outfit shop here. Anyway, it is, let me check so I don't say anything wrong. It is a 1-bedroom flat for rent. 1 bedroom for rent. So we're looking for a monthly rent again. Let me show you the images. There we go. Oh, it looks all plain because it's not furnished. So 1 bedroom for rent. How much would you pay to be right here on Carnaby Street? I'll start walking to the next one as you guess. Yeah, Laurie, the lease could be, I don't think it would be as little as 10 years, but there's probably something, yeah. Because they do put it on the ad that it's a leasehold, but they rarely tell you how many years are left. You have to inquire. So my guess is that, yeah, it's probably not long left. Yeah. So 3K says Tish, 2.9 says Pauline, Linda 2.3, Michelle 3K, 10K a month says John. No, it's not that bad. 3.7. I think you're the closest, Laurie, so far. Let's see. 3.1. So that's not, well, not really affordable, but yeah. Sometimes I wonder what people do to make that money and want to live here. Because, I don't know, in what job do you, if you want to have at least 2/3 of your income into the rent. Anyway, we've got another flat for you right here on top of the Hollister shop. And it is, let me double check, it's again 1 bedroom for rent. So that should be fairly easy because we are not too far and it's the same type of apartments. Let me show you, where are we? There we go. So 1 bedroom for rent, right above the Hollister shop. How much would you pay for this one? Looks a bit older, maybe a little bit smaller than the one we've just seen. So we're looking again for a rent. Politicians with no families, I think, because, well, I could be wrong, but you wouldn't really take a flat here, 1 bedroom, if you had many kids. Yeah. People who work in the city, I think it's probably just people that love to go out. Because if you do like to go out, it's very convenient. 2.9, 2K, 2.7, 3.2, 2.9 says Mike. I don't even remember myself. Let's check. Mike, I think you were one of the closest. I think Tish, you were quite close as well. I think you said 2.7. So 2.5K. So yeah. Right, now let's go into the street where we meant to go. Hold on, those photos don't want to go away. There we go. Perfect. So we are now going towards Great Marlborough Street. So it's not named after the cigarettes. It is the cigarettes that are named after the street. So in 1881, Philip Morris had his first tobacco factory here on Great Marlborough Street. So that's how they've got the name for the cigarettes. And there seem to be a lot of students around here tonight. I don't know why. And it is quite a short street, so I'll show you both sides. It is named after the first Duke of Marlborough, John Churchill. Now, John Churchill, you might have seen him if you've seen the movie The Favourite with Olivia Colman playing Queen Anne. He was a commander in the army, and at the time, the British Army was not amazing inland. The Navy was absolutely amazing, but in terms of tactics inland, they were not necessarily that great. And the Duke of Monmouth was really, really good. He actually managed to put down the... did I say Monmouth? The Duke of Marlborough was great. He actually managed to put down the Duke of Monmouth. The Duke of Monmouth, he was one of the illegitimate son of Charles II. So you might know Charles II had many, many mistresses, 18 illegitimate children, and when he died, the crown went to his brother, James II. The problem with James is that he was a Catholic, and people didn't want a Catholic on the throne anymore. So that's why there were some plots. Some people tried to put Charles II, first illegitimate son, James, the Duke of Monmouth, on the throne because he was a strong Protestant. So the Duke of Monmouth actually raised a little army and he tried to come down to London to claim the throne. And the Duke of Buckingham, I cannot say it properly, the Duke of Marlborough, he was the one responsible for putting those rebellions down. He actually managed to save the throne for James. So that's how he got his name as a great army commander. And he was actually named as a duke, not so much because of his greatness in the army, but mainly because of his wife, Sarah Churchill. because she had an affair. We believe she had an affair with the Queen. This is the beautiful Liberty shop. It is a mock Tudor, so it's not actually Tudor. It's Victorian. Beautiful, beautiful shop. It's managed by an American gentleman and is great at getting new products. So yes, so the Duchess of Marlborough, Sarah Churchill. Churchill, same family as Winston Churchill and Lady Diana. They were. She was she worked for Queen Anne. She was the keeper of the privy purse, as well as the groom of the stool. So that's the person that would help the monarch go to the toilets, and the mistress of the robes as well. And we have some letters, so we believe that they were having an affair, but again, that cannot be proven. I don't like to speculate too much about the sex lives of our monarchs of the past, but yeah, they probably did. So Queen Anne might have had some lesbian lovers. Anyway, you might wonder why they've put Marlborough Street or Great Marlborough Street on the Monopoly board. Well, the orange little spaces on the Monopoly board, they're all linked to law enforcement. So we have Vine Street. We've been there together. That used to be a police station. We have Marlborough Street, because we used to have a court of justice here, a magistrate court. And we have Bow Street, with the first police station in London with the Bow Street Runners, as well as a magistrate court. So this beautiful building here used to be a magistrate court. Now, a magistrate court is not exactly the same as a crown court. A crown court, it's for the big crimes. In a crown court, you know, the lawyers, they'll be wearing wings and gowns, and you'd have a jury and judges and all that. In the magistrate court, the lawyers will be wearing a suit. You don't have a jury, you have 3 magistrates, and it's a bit less formal. And in a crown court, you're much more likely to be guilty, basically. It's for those type of offences that are quite straightforward. You know, you get caught drunk driving, or you get caught with drugs, you'd be taken to the Crown Court. We had quite a few famous cases here, including a lot of singers, Mick Jagger, John Lennon, Keith Richards. They were all taken here for drugs. We also had in the 60s Christine Keeler, you know, from the Profumo scandal. So it was a young girl of 19 years old that had an affair with a politician. And she also had an affair with the Russian attaché. So sensitive information might have been transmitted. The Prime Minister had to resign. Big scandal. And today it is a hotel. Let me show you photos of the inside of the hotel. So it is the Crown Court Hotel, London, because there's the Crown Court Shoreditch as well. And inside you still have some little souvenirs of the old function of the building. So in the waiting room here you still have the bars, and in the bar, the VIP area, it's still like a little cell with the toilets and everything. So that's quite fun. And of course, one of the most famous cases that started here at the Crown Court, it is Oscar Wilde. Now you might know Oscar Wilde was, of course, having an affair with Alfred Douglas, and when Alfred's dad discovered it, the Marquis of Queensberry, he was furious, and he left a note in a gentleman's club accusing Wilde of being a sodomite. And Wilde decided, that was a silly move, he decided to take the Marquis down for libel. So he started a case against the Marquis. The thing is, sodomy was a criminal offense at the time. Well, sodomy used to be a criminal offense, but then they realized that it was quite difficult to prove. How do you prove that people actually commit that act in particular? So they actually changed it in Parliament. They went from sodomy to gruesome indecency. So that would refer to any type of gay sex. Well, any type of gay men sex. They actually, that's funny actually, they tried to put, they tried to pass gruesome indecency for females as well. So lesbian sex. They tried to pass a bill at Parliament to make it illegal in Victorian times. So you might know the system in this country to have a new law. The law has to be, I'm gonna wait, it's a bit noisy. So the law has to go through the House of Commons at Parliament, so politicians that have been voted. And then once the Commons have agreed, the law has to go through the House of Lords. They have I think it's 170 of them at the moment. And they are nobility basically, but they also have a power over the law. And after that, the monarch has to sign them. Yeah, that's pretty mean, Caroline, yeah. And nowadays, the monarch would never really dare to reject a law, but it's still on paper, in theory, King Charles III could reject a law. It would never happen. That has not happened in 300 years, but in theory, he could. So anyway, they tried to pass this bill against lesbian sex, gruesome indecency for females. It went through the House of Commons, they voted okay, then it went through the House of Lords, and, well, no one wanted to bring the bill to the Queen. They didn't, they thought Queen Victoria did not believe in lesbianism anyway. And the Lord actually rejected the law because they didn't want to take it to the Queen, would you believe? It's quite funny because, well, it has been interpreted as the Queen didn't believe in lesbians. It's probably not the case. It's probably also that the Lords did not want to let ladies know what they could do. They probably didn't know they could do such thing. So they didn't want to create the temptation. So anyway, so that's why lesbian sex was not illegal, but gay men sex was. And Oscar Wilde could have been in big trouble. And he was indeed. So he took the Marquis to court, but then the Marquis had to defend himself. So he had to find evidence that it was not libel, but his son was indeed having an affair with Wilde. So he actually broke into his son's apartment. He found a lot of names and addresses of young boys, very young, some of them, that were having sex with the both of them. And eventually Wilde was convicted of two years of hard labor. And it was a bit, even Oscar's wife, she was telling him he should have moved. He should have moved to Paris. He did, but too late. He did it after his prison sentence. Because in France, homosexuality was not a criminal act since the French Revolution. So he could have just moved to Paris earlier, because then he ended up finishing his life in Paris as a destitute. Newsflash, Queen V, yes. Anyway, before we go, I've got another couple of apartments here for you. The first one is actually right up here at the very top of this building here, and it is, let me check, 4 bedrooms to buy. So we're looking for a 4-bedroom right up there to buy. How much do you think you'd pay for a 4-bedroom on Great Marlborough Street? It's the end of the street, by the way, right here. So we're looking for a 4-bedroom to buy. Right on top of Soul Cycle Shop here. Oh, I didn't show you the photos. Let me get the photo. Where are we? There we are. So nice balcony, probably an amazing view because it's quite high. So 4 bedrooms to buy. $10 million 7.6 million, says Linda. 8 million, says Tariq. Pauline, you're very close, Pauline. So far, I think you are the closest. Sarah says 8 millions. I'll just give you a little bit longer because sometimes I go too quick. 7.5. Mike, you're very close, Mike. I think you are the winner so far, unless I've missed any. 9.5, Sir Roberta. It's a bit less. Let me show you. Where are we? There we go, Mike. Very close, very close. 5.5 millions. And let's have a last one on this side over here. So, we have a 1-bedroom for rent right up here in the corner here, so in the middle of your screen. 1-bedroom for rent. How much would you pay? I'll show you the photos as well. So beautiful flat, quite bright. So 1-bedroom for rent. How much would you pay for this one? Another bargain, yes. So we're looking for a rent, a monthly rent. 7.5, 7, it's a bit less. Monthly rent. $2.8, $2.6. Janie, you're the closest so far, I think. 3K, says Tish. 5.6, 2.2, says Tariq. 3.5, says Michelle. 4.5, says Rose. Right, let me show you the answer. Careful, it's going to tell you weekly. You have to look at the little line. So 1,000 a week, so that's 4,500 per calendar month. So yeah, another bargain. Anyway, let's remove the photos. And this is gonna be the end of the tour. Let me show you something before we go. I think it's quite fun. I think it's only in London. That's my lovely bicycle here. I'm gonna have a funny cycle home because I think I need to lose weight. I've managed to break my, I managed to break this. I mean, this is metal. I think I need to go on a diet. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. So look under my bicycle. I've got some handcuffs. This is, why on earth? Oh, how did that happen? I don't know, but yeah. So if you want to do a sex game or anything, if you need handcuffs, you know where to get them. I'm guessing they've lost the keys, so they've left them here. But yeah, that's, welcome to London. Anyway, let me show you my face again and let the chat if you have any questions before we go. If not, thank you very much for coming tonight. It's always great to have you along. And if any of you dropped me a little tip on buy me a coffee or on PayPal, you know, it's very, very much appreciated. It is thanks to your generosity that only under my bike, well, I'm the one that put my bike on top of the handcuffs, but yeah. So yeah, thanks ever so much if any of you drop me a tip. Oh, there's something I want to try. Because, you know, those of you that are live with me right now, you obviously have in the chat my link for buy me a coffee or PayPal. But if you're watching the video, you might not. So if you are watching on replay in the next few days, if you wanted to buy me a coffee, you could also scan this. I'm gonna have to check myself if it works. I mean, it works, but I don't know if it works on the screen. But yeah, I just thought I'll pop it there. Let me frame myself anyway. Now, how can I? Hello. Yeah, I just wanted to check if it was any useful. Let me remove this and go. Next one Tuesday. No, I'm not doing any on Tuesday. The next one is on Sunday. We're heading to Notting Hill. So we'll have a serial killer. We'll have quite a few movies. So yeah, you might want to start watching your movies again to recognize the place. So you want to be watching Notting Hill, you want to be watching Paddington 2, you want to be watching Love Actually. I still haven't watched it. I had to buy a DVD because streaming it was £6. The first DVD came, it didn't work, so I bought another one. I still don't know if I'm gonna manage to watch it before the tour, but yeah. And it's actually hard to find a DVD player nowadays. Anyway, you got to go, Linda. Thanks for coming, and thanks ever so much, Diane. And I've seen someone give me a tip. Thanks ever so much, Linda. It's greatly appreciated. And yeah, so hopefully I'll see some of you on Sunday. If not, the week after that, we're heading back to Camden. Any good films? Love Actually, I don't know yet, but it's a very popular one, so it probably is good. And thanks ever so much, Pauline. It's always amazing to have your support, guys. Night. Cool. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a great morning, a great evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm gonna get going as well because tomorrow it's a special day. Tomorrow we have the French military. They're doing the changing of the guards. It's the first time ever that France or any country that is not a member of the Commonwealth is invited to take part in the changing of the guards. It is to celebrate the Entente Cordiale that was signed between Britain and France in 1904. So I'm going to try to get there to film a bit, to show you what it's like. Probably just a short, because again, with the changing of the guards, you've got music. Even if it's just the French national hymn, that's probably copyrighted. So that's probably annoying on YouTube. But I'm going to try to get there just to show you. Because of the Entente Cordiale. So it's the French have been here since Friday. I've seen them rehearsed already. They had to cancel the changing of the guards because they had to rehearse and in France as well. So tomorrow, in the Palais, l'Élysée Palace, instead of having the normal guards, you'd have some of I think it's the Scots. So they might be wearing their bearskin hats in front of l'Élysée in France. So that'll be fun as well. What time is it? It's the normal time, Tariq. And you should have the Duke and the Duchess of Edinburgh as well. So, I'm guessing that the Duke of Edinburgh will be in the courtyard of Buckingham Palace. So it's hard to see there, but yeah, I'll try to go there to see what it's like. Anyway, thanks for joining, guys. See you soon. Have a great evening, great morning, and keep YouTubing. Bye bye.